Hi, my name is Ng Wing Soon. My team members are Alden Lim, Nyanesh, Janine, and Wing Hong. Today, we will be discussing about oxytocin signaling. Oxytocin is a peptide hormone with 9 amino acids. It is synthesized in the hypothalamus and stored in the posterior pituitary lobe. It is released into the bloodstream via exocytosis, which is why oxytocin signaling is endocrine in nature. Oxytocin acts as a ligand and binds to the transmembrane oxytocin receptors, which is a G protein-coupled receptor. Oxytocin receptors are mainly expressed in the mammary glands and the uterus. Allow my friend Janine to further explain oxytocin signaling in details.
Hi, I'm Janine, and I'll be talking about the signaling pathway of oxytocin. So, uterine contraction, labor induction, and several other maternal behaviors are induced by oxytocin and oxytocin receptor signaling. OXTR is the receptor that regulates G protein independent signaling and triggers the hypothalamus to secrete the oxytocin ligand. Oxytocin binds to OXTR, and the binding of oxytocin to OXTR causes conformational change of OXTR. This will cause the alpha subunit of GQ protein to bind with guanosine triophosphate instead of guanosine diphosphate. This will activate the GQ protein. The GQ protein then binds with membrane-bound phospholipase C. This will stimulate the breaking down of a lipid component of the membrane called phosphatidylinositol 4,5-biophosphate, or PIP2. PIP2 is cleaved into DAG, which stands for diacylglycerol, and IP3, inositol triophosphate. The IP3 activates the sarcoplasmic reticulum to release calcium into the sarcoplasm. This will enhance the contraction process in the myometrial cells and muscle cells in the mammary glands. DAG activates protein kinase C and phosphorylates the proteins on the cell membrane to allow for calcium entry from the extracellular space and increase the intracellular volume of calcium. This enhances the contraction process of the uterus. In oxytocin neurons, PKC stimulates the internalization of CD38 in oxytocin neurons, which triggers a signaling cascade and causes calcium ions to rise in oxytocin neurons and trigger a release of more oxytocin. This forms a positive feedback loop.
Hi, I'm Yanish and now I'll be talking about the function and importance of oxytocin signaling. As what Wing Soon mentioned earlier, oxytocin signaling is initiated when oxytocin, a 9 amino acid neuropeptide, binds to its G protein coupled receptor. This activates intracellular signaling cascades, primarily involving second messengers like phospholipase C, leading to the release of calcium ions. These pathways trigger various cellular responses depending on the target tissue. In the brain, oxytocin modulates social behaviors such as bonding, trust, and emotional regulation by affecting neuronal synaptic plasticity. Additionally, oxytocin plays a key role in childbirth and lactation by promoting uterine contractions and milk ejection. It also influences metabolic processes by regulating food intake and energy balance. Lastly, understanding oxytocin signaling has therapeutic implications, particularly in treating conditions like autism, anxiety disorders, and even metabolic diseases.
Hi, I'm Alden. After listening to what Nanesh had explained about the importance of oxytocin, let's discuss the consequences of malfunctioning oxytocin pathway. A disorder that is known as panhypopituitarism will cause oral hormone level of your pituitary gland to fall beyond normal. This includes oxytocin hormone level to be lower than normal. As oxytocin plays a huge role in human affections and sexual arousal, oxytocin malfunctions may lead to sexual dysfunction, which is the inability to undergo orgasm, and secondly, irritations and does not feel affectionate, such as irrational behavior and does not have feelings for others. Moreover, anxiety and depression will cause anxiousness and persistent feelings of sadness and loss of interest. Furthermore, sleep deprived, which is lack of sleep. And lastly, autism spectrum disorder is a neurological and developmental disorder that affects people's interaction with others, communicating, learning, and behavior. Now, I'll pass my time to Tony to explain the solutions or interventions of oxytocin malfunction.
Now I'd like to talk about the solution and intervention for oxytocin pathway. First of all, we have intranasal oxytocin administration. This method is to delivering the oxytocin through the nasal cavity by using spray or nebulizer. This method allows the oxytocin to pass by the blood-brain barrier and enter the brain directly through the neuronal pathway like trigeminal or olfactory nerve. This approach is popular in research and it has impact on stress response, emotion regulation, and social recognition. This method is also with fewer side effects than other administration method, and this intranasal oxytocin method is investigated for mental treatment like social anxiety disorder and autism. Lastly, we have cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. Using behavioral therapy like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, in conjunction with oxytocin administration or social instruction could improve the course of treatment. In order to improve therapeutic response and encourage adaptive social behavior, integrative techniques seek to leverage the neurobiology effects of oxytocin.